Hi, Tim from Scott Country National. What I'm going to talk to you today about is how to set your Alpex up. So from absolute basics to getting out zeroed, setting a ballistic profile up and everything like that. Obviously I've done my initial video, just giving it a quick oversight, but I'm now going to talk it through, screen record it and show every single button, what every menu does and what everything does within the parameters. So obviously, first thing, once you receive your Alpex, it will be boxed up and everything like that. All you're going to want to do is turn your Alpex on via the power button. Obviously, after it's had a good charge, this bit of common sense applies here. Charge your batteries up, give it a charge, then you're ready to zero it. First thing you're going to want to do is adjust the diopter inside there. Twist that back out as you would do a normal day scope until that image is usable, crisp and sharp. So all your display with inside there is usable, i.e. you can see it, you're not squinting, it's nice and sharp, in focus, and you're good to go. And you can either have the rubber eyepiece on or you can have it off. So I prefer mine on because it cuts the sunlight down. Now once you get to the setting up functions, everything is done through this button. So press and hold will activate your menu. Power button on and off, obviously. Video record and image capture. Laser rangefinder button. You can set that to various different settings, which I'll cover inside there shortly. And then press and hold will activate picture in picture. So moving down, once you get to this end of the business, focus ring on the end, and there we go. Right, so they're the basics. Now what we'll do is we're going to flip onto the onto a screen, and I'll talk you through the menus as we go. Right, so what we're all going to cover now is you'll have your Alpex, you'll have it set up like that. It'll look slightly different as you turn it all on, but all I'm going to do is press and hold that menu button, and this will activate your top level menu. Now on the top icon you've got your brightness, your contrast, you've got day, so you can have this set to day mode, night mode or auto, so when it deems it's dark enough that it needs to flick into night mode, it will do it automatically. Then you've got albums, so once you've recorded something, you've took a shot or whatever, if you miss you can go back there and you can auto play that back in the scope. And then you've got advanced settings, so we'll move on to the advanced setting menu now. Then what you'll have in that top screen, zero and profiles on. So starting on the top there, we'd have profile E, or A should I say. I like to do this, I like to set mine up biggest rifle first, all the way down to the end. So I'll have that. A will be the 6.5, B 243, C 223. That's spare for either a rimfire, either one, then an air rifle. So we'll just have that on E for now. And then we want to go to zeroing. So within the zero menu, you've got a number of different levels. First one, how your Alpex is going to arrive out of the box is off. There'll be no reticle switched on it. So first thing you do, switch your reticle on. Now you can either have that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and off again. So as you notice in the top right hand corner, you see that changing from E4, E3, E2, E1. I leave mine on E1. If you're going to be using a ballistic calculator, you can set this zero distance to whichever you want. So I'll leave mine on E1 profile, and then next one down is going to be your zero distance. So this is what you're going to tell the ballistic calculator your desired zero distance. So you set at 20 yards, you set at 100 yards, or whatever's relevant to your particular rifle and where you want to set it up. But all you do, click and access that, change it with the scroll wheel along, activate it off again. Now this is your reticles, various different types of reticles. You'll see them changing across the screen now. away you go. Pick which one's suitable to you and leave it selected. Colours again, various different colours, as you'll see the colours changing through there. This is the zoom, so self-explanatory. Zooms in. You'll see how that changes there from 3.57 up to 14 up to 28. So I'll explain a bit about that later. And then you've got your freeze frame function and your X and Y. This is what you're going to use when you're onto your zeroing profile. So you took your first shot, you're holding center on the target, put your freeze frame on, it'll activate your essential zeroing functions, your X and Y, and your zoom. Now I always do mine on base mag, but you might want to prefer to zoom in a little bit, and that's something you can do there through that menu. Once you've done that, this is the critical bit that you need to do, and a lot of people fail to do. So it says save parameters, flick that up to OK till it's highlighted blue, then press it. So many people try to zero and go, I've done all that and it's not working because you're not saving it properly. 99% user error. Moving down the next menu, then you've got Ballistic calculator. We'll come back to that one. Now what you've got here is fixed reticle and central reticle. So if you're on fixed reticle, when you zoomed in, it would change. If you was off center on 0, this is what the original firmware piece was about. Everyone wanted their reticle centered in the UK. So either central reticle and fixed reticle, you can have that. I'll leave mine on central. Next one, this is the zoom bit I went to about earlier. You have continuous and multiple. So multiple is what you'd have saw with the 3.5, the times 7, 14, 28. And then if it's in continuous, it will go 3.5, 3.6, 3.7, so on and so forth. You can do it that way. I like mine multiple, so I'm never really going that fine. Laser ranging, again, you can have that to close, which will be off completely. You can have it once, so one quick flash of the laser, obviously all the way out to 60 seconds. Not quite sure why you'd want it all the way to there, but I'll leave mine on once. Once it's ranged, it's done. And that's page 1 nipped. There we go down to drop page 2. Hotspot is obviously connected to your wireless, so all you do, click that on, activate hotspot, either on or closed. Pre-record, so if you take a shot for 7 seconds before, it will take a pre-recording, or 15 seconds, however you want to have that set up. So if you do do forget to press record, your shot will be recorded. Then you've got audio on, obviously self-explanatory, microphone on, microphone off. Smart IR, this is an important one. So once you're into using it at night time with your additional IR torch that you'll buy, if you say you're on a tripod, you spin it round and it looks at, say, a tree branch, it doesn't flare up and everything goes white and you can't see anything else. So keep Smart IR on, that's what that does. Auto screen on and off, and this is what I've just been testing. Now this has got a an auto screen on and off, so if you tilt the device down minus 70 degrees, it will go into auto standby. Above plus 70 degrees, it will go into standby. 35 left, 35 right. So if you lay your rifle down the side, your screen's not flaring up, or if you sling your rifle on your back, it goes into auto standby. So nice clever little feature there. I'll leave that on. Function and settings, what you've got in here then is your OSD, so that's your on-screen display, which that stands for, and then you can have the whole thing on. You can have time and date, or you can turn it off. Your pitch scale is what I was talking about, 70 degrees and thingy, that's how it measures your angle your scope's at. I'll just leave mine on, so I quite like it. Make sure I'm central and the rifle straight before I take a shot. Then your brand logo, that's just where it says HikMicro in the bottom corner. You can have that on or off. I don't like too much stuff on my screen, so I try and keep it minimal. And then you've got your basic settings, as you would do a mobile phone and things like that. So you've got language, you've got your time, you can now change it to 24 hour, 12 hour, you've got your date, and then you've got yards and meters. So this is not changing the system as in the ballistic system, this is changing what your readout is from the LRF. So if you press your laser rangefinder, it's going to give you in yards or meters, is whatever you want. Auto power on and off, so after a set time, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, so if you do chuck it in the back of the gun slip and hoist it in the back of the truck, it will turn itself off, or it's in the cabinet, it will turn itself off. And restore is what you need to do after a firmware update. Any firmware update whatsoever, always do a restore, because it doesn't take effect unless you do that. Then you've got your memory capacity, so I've still got 57 gig free, and then which version I'm running, which will display that there. So different builds and different versions, as I referred to on at the start. So going back to Ballistic calculator, within this menu you've got 5 pages. So as you have profiles A to E, I like to correspond them A to E is 1 to 5, as how I do it. You want to be put in, or I do it easiest, profile A, page 1. So to activate the ballistic calculator, turn it on. Ballistic profile is whatever you want. Initial velocity is what you've either taken off your box speed or what you've chronographed your round at. Obviously it's in meters per second. Hopefully there's an update coming out shortly for this to rectify it into feet per second for us normal people, and that'll get changed. Just Google feet per second to meters per second calculator, do it like that, or divide it by 1.3, I think it is, something random. Zero range is obviously the zero range that you've zeroed at. Obviously again, you need to convert that to yards if you're using yards. Your altitude, what you zeroed at, I never touch this, I just leave it as it is, because it's not like I'm going up a mountain, so there's no variation too much what I'll be doing. Temperature, zero in temperature, it's cold, that's that. Your ballistic coefficient, take that off your box or your manufacturer's information. Scope height, that is your scope height, so I use to the centre of the ring to the centre of my bore, so just on the mouth of the ejection port, measure from that point to that point, whatever that is, I've entered into that. So that's your ballistic page set up. Now you will need to fine tune this, so if you're using a chrono, your speed's going to be fairly accurate. If you're using a box speed, you'll probably want to drop 20 off, either put 20 on, 20 off, because they're never accurate, and every rifle's different depending if it's tested on a 24-inch barrel or like a 16-inch barrel, whatever you're shooting or whatever combination you're using, you have to be different on it. So you might want to tweak that, or you'll need to tweak the BC. So it's just take a little bit of time. Another common factor which I've identified within, so you'll have your laser rangefinder. See now on the screen you've got your laser box and you've got the cross. So when you start to zoom in, see how it disappears off. Now this will all be depending on how your scope's mounted on your rifle, how your scope is zeroed, but everyone's different. I know my laser splash within that box at under 100 yards sits above it, so you need to work out in night mode where your laser's calibrated for, whether it's be at a 200 yard. At 200 yards, I know mine's in the box, so, and if it's over 200 yards, it can be within that box, so that's fine. If you're zeroed at 100 and you're then shooting, say you laser target at 200 or 300, potentially you're shooting it over the target with the laser, so you need to work that out in your head and get familiar with it, because if you're in the day, it's not so bad at night because you can see the splash if you say you're lasering the side of a fox broadside. If you're shooting targets during the day, you could potentially be skipping over the top of the target depending how your laser's calibrated. So do your time, do your research and get that worked out. and you'll all be good to go. So as you see now, once your Alpex is set up, all the display you'll see down the side is the first icon on the left is in day mode. I've got pre-record turned on, I've got hotspot on, so I'm obviously streaming it now. I've got battery, which is a 1, so that is using that's using the first battery, which is your internal battery, then battery 2 is your external. And then top right you've got E1, which we spoke about, our profile and our zero distance, and you've got LRF in yards, and your drop in centimeters is what the calculation will be. As you can see on the reticle, the red cross is just sitting down a little bit there on your hold marker, and that's where my calibration will be. And that is that. And that is pretty much how to set it up. And then it's just getting used to it. The more you play around with it, the more you get used to it, and it's easy to go. So, cheers.